Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in. So in this video I'll explain how you can repair a surfboard in this case, but this can be as well for a wakeboard or any part you want. So the tail of this board from a friend of mine had some dents into it, so he filled these with some polyester paste because the board was made out of polyester. Then he sanded the part, so just to get a nice grip, just to get the layers coming on top, adhering well to the board in this case. So the next step would be to degrease the part. So I'm using a standard degreaser. You can buy this in a DIY store or whatsoever. Then the next step would be just to fill all the gaps you want to prevent having resin going into. So in this case I'm using something most of you will know. It's Play-Doh. It's from when you were a child, just to make this little hamburger and so on. Just to fill all the cavities you don't want to fill. So here will be the layup. So you have your vacuum bag, then you have a breather that will absorb all the excess resin being sucked out of the fiberglass, because you just want to have a good saturation between the fibers and the resin. Not too much resin on top. Then you have a perforated film, and there will be a peel ply on top of that. So this is in the order that has to be coming onto the board. So this is a fiberglass, this will be the first layer, then we go to the peel ply, then we have the perforated film, the breather and the vacuum bag. I'm using a 200 gram square meter fiberglass for this. If you want to use another heavier coat, can work as well, but for this I'm using 2 layers of 200 gram square meter fiberglass twill weave. So here I'm mixing the resin. I'm using the Easy Composites laminating epoxy with the fast hardener. You also have a slow hardener in case you need more time. Here you will have a pot life of around 30 minutes. So pot life means you have a working time of around 30 minutes with the resin. So the first thing to do is just to lay a thin coat onto the board directly, and then on top of that we will work our way around with extra layers. The black tape you see there, it's insulation tape. It's something you use for electric wires, and it will prevent the epoxy from sticking to the rest of the board. So here the first step is just take some time, make some cuts, and just have it as smoothly against the board as possible. The twill weave will enable you to do more complex parts. So here I'm just brushing it on. This is a second layer coming on top of the first one, and then like you see you have some excess. It's difficult to make the patterns correctly, but you have some margin of error just to correct here. So here I'm just cutting all the excess, and then I make sure that everything is nicely saturated. If you have a bit too much resin, it's not a big problem, because all of this will be absorbed in the breather cloth under vacuum. So here is a peel ply. If you're not familiar with it, it's a nylon fabric, if I'm correct, that will enable you to remove all the layers on top of the fiberglass in this case. So now I'm working with fiberglass, but this could work as well with carbon fiber or aramid, also known as Kevlar and so on. Here I'm squeezing out all the air that's trapped under the peel ply, and make sure that everything is nicely against the fiberglass. So here as well you can make some cuts if needed, just to make sure that everything is nicely against the fiberglass. A good thing to keep in mind is at the end you will have to clean your scissor with some acetone, just to prevent them from being stuck. So I've lost a lot of scissors, that's why I'm using cheap scissors for this. Next step is the perforated film. So here is my friend is helping me. It's always great to have a second hand just to help you out with all the tapes and so on in this case. So now it's time for the breather. So the perforated film was just applied. There are some tiny holes in it, just to have the excess of resin coming through the little holes. If you wouldn't do that, all the resin will be absorbed into the breather cloth. So here you can see the connector is placed. It's a silicone connector. You can find it as well on Easy Composites or any other company that sells composite stuff. So, and then the back is coming on top. You can also see I've just added a little stack of breather under the silicone connector, just to make sure that no resin will go through the tubes into the pump. So here I'm closing the bag, so it's all the way around the board, and then it would be time to just put the vacuum hose. So I'm cutting a small hole in the bag. Make sure not to scratch the bag with a knife or something, or go too far over the connector. And then you can just put the tacky tape around. This is what I do. Everybody has his own preferences in doing this. You can also put the tape under the tacky tape that you've seen on the right, but here I'm getting a nice seal, and as you can see there was still a small little gap under the boards when the vacuum was applied, so there was no full vacuum, and now it's closed and I get a very tight vacuum. So this is the vacuum. You can clamp it off, and as you can see, there's little small holes, circles you see are all excess resin that has been sucked out of the fiberglass. So now you can remove everything, and as you can see, it's very easy to remove the breather thanks to the perforated film beneath it. And the perforated films is easy to remove as well. The peel ply will be a bit more difficult, especially in very complex shapes, but you can make some cuts and just tear it off. So here I'm removing the insulation tape, then the Play-Doh is removed again because we don't want to keep that into our part, and then this is how the repair looks. So it's a very strong repair, tightly against the boards. If you want a stronger repair, you can use aramids. In this case it's abrasive, protective and so on, but fiberglass was enough for this one, so just to prevent moist getting into the foam core of the surfboards. So this is how it looks, sanded, cleaned, and if you still want, you can just add a gloss coat or a top coat on top of the fiberglass, but in this case it wasn't really needed. So if you like this video, I have more videos. There's a skinning desk lamp with carbon fiber, resin infusion, and the easy composites mold making putty coming online. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos and want to see more, please subscribe. You can just click on the YouTube icon. Also check out my Facebook page. During the projects I mostly post some pictures in between, so if you can't wait for the next tutorials and so on, just give my page a like.